Good morning. So thrilled to be here this morning preaching the word. Thank you so much for being here. It's a joy to see each and every one of you here. Is anybody ready for Thanksgiving? Amen. It is that time of year. I mean, it feels like yesterday we were just celebrating July 4th, and now all of a sudden here's Thanksgiving, and then right around the corner from that is the best holiday of all, Christmas. So we're looking forward to a great end of the year here at Journey. Got a lot of great things planned, a lot of great things going on, and we're thrilled just to be a part. Amen. But this morning I want to talk to you just for a few minutes. And if I was to title this message, it would be "Some Assembly Required." How many of you have ever, especially in the Christmas season, when you would buy gifts for your children, or if you're buying gifts for your children, there's always that little tagline right there, "Some assembly required." And sometimes they stretch the word "some," don't they? You get there and then it's like in 15 million pieces and you're like, "Some assembly required?" So it's very interesting that they say that, but and it's hard for us as men, and let me talk to the men for just a second. When it comes to assembly required and a manual and different things like that, we usually don't try to look at the manual, do we? Does anybody just skip the manual and look at the picture to try to put it together? Anybody like that? Yeah. See, I'm too A, B, C, D, E, F, G type person, type A that has to do everything in order. So I'm going to look at the manual. I'm going to get all the pieces in one little spot each. I'm just weird like that. Anybody else like that? Okay, good. I'm not the only one. Good. But anytime you open up a manual, the first page, it tells you all of the tools that are required to complete the task. And you make sure, sometimes they'll come with them. Sometimes you have to go to your toolbox, get the screwdriver, or get the whatever it is. But I like it when they're provided, because then I ain't got to go hunt for things, because I don't have all the tools in the world. I'm lucky to find my screwdriver at the house sometimes. But the tools that are required to complete the task at hand, however great that is. And this morning I want to talk to you about a tool that we can use in our relationships. And really coming up on the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, I got to thinking about this, and I was like, it's perfect. And let me just go ahead and just let you know that this is not something that I have mastered in any shape, way, form, or anything. I wished I could sit here and say, hey, I know all of this stuff, so just be like me. Unfortunately, it's not like that, okay? I'm not one to have mastered this. It is a work in progress for me as well. That is something that I struggle with a lot of times, and I wish that I could sit up here and say, hey, it's all easy, it's all just roses, do it like this, and everything's going to be perfect. Relationships don't work that way, do they? So it's something that we all struggle with. We all are a work in progress, and I don't want you to think that, hey, I've got this figured out and that I'm just preaching it because I just know it. I'm more convicted by preaching it than I am just trying to teach it. So I just want you to know that it's something that I even struggle with, that I even deal with on a daily basis trying to do. But we want to give you a tool this morning that you can apply to your every relationship that you have, and that is the tool of gratitude. And gratitude goes a long way. We're gonna turn to Proverbs. So if you have your Bible, you can turn to Proverbs chapter 11. But if you have done any study whatsoever on the books of the Bible, you understand that the Proverbs is what they call the wisdom book. It's chock full of wisdom from mainly King Solomon. And it's what they also, scholars call the wisdom literature. If you read through that, you see a lot of wisdom. And a lot of it is just through his own mistakes. So he was like, you know what? Let me just write about, hey, if you just do it this way. How many of you would rather learn from somebody else's mistakes than your own, right? We'd rather learn from somebody else's than our own sometimes. It's a lot easier to learn from somebody else making that mistake than us having to go through that. And I think that's a lot of what he did sometimes was, hey, I made these type mistakes. Don't make these type mistakes in a lot of what he was scripture. But if you look at the book of Proverbs, I like to consider it a manual for skillful living. It's a manual for skillful living. And with any manual, like I said, the first page, it tells you all the tools that you need. And we're going to be talking about the tool of gratitude. If you have your Bible, I'm going to read from the Message version, Proverbs 11:27. And I want to read the Message version of this scripture. And it's on the screen behind me. It says, "The one who seeks good finds delight. The student of evil becomes evil." And it's worded a little bit different than with the NIV or the version that you possibly have. And I'm going to share with you why we're reading from the Message version. It says, "The one who seeks good finds delight, but the student of evil becomes evil." So I want to talk to you this morning on the tool of gratitude. And I want to talk to you real quick about the power of the mind. The mind is a powerful, powerful thing. It dictates everything that we do, everything that we think, things that we say, because our mind is connected to our heart, and from the abundance of our heart, our mouth speaks. But I want to talk to you about the power of the mind for just a second. People who study the mind say that we as humans have what we call a negativity bias. A negativity bias. And in your mind, when difficult things happen, when hard things happen, when bad things happen, they weigh more on our mind than good things. They weigh more than good things. If you go through a bad experience, your mind registers that like a thumb on the scale. Case in point, look at what I call the negativity bias when you read reviews. How many of y'all researched something and you read the reviews of it, and you see pages and pages of negative reviews? Why? Because it weighs more than good things in our mind. Now, how many of you have ever been at a restaurant and your service was so good, you say, "Can I see the manager, please? I just want to tell the service, the food was just amazing." Has anybody ever done that? Maybe once, maybe somebody. But let there be something wrong. How many of y'all, "Can I see the manager, please? The food wasn't this," or the service. Because the negative bias weighs more on our mind than the positive experiences. Your negativity bias weighs a negative experience as being heavier than it really is, and heavier than a positive experience. The bad reviews go on and on and on. You're trying to find a good hotel room. You will see everything that is wrong with every room in that hotel because it weighs more. Most people that have okay experiences usually don't bother to leave a review. Now, I'm thankful that when I'm researching something that there are good reviews out there. Does anybody else review it like 50 million times before you buy it? I'm like that. I'll go through Amazon. I'll look at reviews. I'll go to this website. If this one's trusted. So it's important but probably because it didn't weigh so much to people that had okay experiences. Okay? So you have to know this about yourself. You will tend to put a greater weight on the bad things that happen to you in a relational context as well. Because when this happens, when we put that heavier weight, it's like your brain is Velcro to the bad stuff. But it's like Teflon to the good stuff. Everybody know what Teflon is? Makes things slippery. You go through bad things and it sticks like Velcro and it's hard to get off. You remember that, and it's engrafted into your mind and into your brain that every time that something triggers, you go back to that bad experience. It's like Velcro, it sticks. But when you go through good stuff, it's far easier to forget it. And if we're not careful, we can underestimate the good that comes out of a relationship, and we can overestimate the bad aspects because they are stronger on our mind. I've done that plenty of times where I have underestimated the good because the negative weighed more, so I overestimated the bad. So the first thing I want you to remember, and you can write this down, that's going to be on the screen behind, you see more of what you search for. You see more of what you search for. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. Proverbs, look at the beginning of the scripture that I just read, Proverbs 11:27. He who seeks good finds delight. What you're looking for, you will find. What you're looking to see, you're going to find it somewhere. Because you think about it more often, you're going to see it more often. Why? Because in our mind, our brain is always trying to help us out. Always trying to help us out. Your brain is always studying what you're doing. You didn't realize you're going to get a science lesson. I didn't realize when I was putting this is so cool. The study of the brain and mind is just too deep to even try to consider. But it's always trying to study what we're doing. And anything it sees you thinking about a lot, it tries to help you out by showing you more of that. And advertisers have keyed in on that aspect of our brain. Because how many of you have been online, you went to Amazon or you went to whatever site and you search for something, then you get over there on Facebook and then all of a sudden an advertisement pops up as the same exact thing that you were looking for. And you're like, how did they do that? Because they know the little algorithms that they can put into these things. So the things that you search for, they want to put it right back in front of you. Advertisers have keyed in on that, so it's constantly when we see it. And I remember our first trip when we were afforded the opportunity to take our children to Disney for the first time. Man, when we got back, it's like before we went, we didn't see Disney anywhere. And then all of a sudden, when we got back, we saw this commercial, we saw that, and we thought, Disney's ever, how do they do that? It's the power of advertising, but it's the power of our brain. It's the power of our mind. The brain helps you find whatever you are focused on. If you're seeking after negativity, if you're going into a situation looking to be hurt, or you're looking to be proved right, your brain is going to be scanning to find those things. And if you're walking in looking for it, guess what? You're going to find whatever you're looking for. You're going to find it. Because if you're constantly thinking about it, your brain's like, oh, he must want to see that. So you're going to see those things. So know this, you will see more of it when you look for it. How many of y'all, bear with me for this example. How many of you, like, before you bought the last vehicle you had? How many of y'all did extensive research on the type vehicle it was, the safety of the vehicle? You went to KBB.com, Auto Trader. You were looking for the perfect price. You did a lot of extensive research before you purchased a major purchase like a vehicle. Is anybody like the researchers? You're going to research it out. Is it safe? Especially if you're starting a family, you know, what's the best vehicle for a family? You research. So your mind is on that type vehicle. You're looking at all these websites to find the right vehicle. And then all of a sudden you go and buy it. And then all of a sudden you start seeing that vehicle everywhere. Has anybody ever noticed that in your mind? You're like, there's that vehicle. And it's the same thing. It was almost like when we purchased the vehicle that we have, the car that we have, it was like a weird color. It wasn't like it's a blue color. It's like midnight something. I don't even remember. I was like, I have never seen that color of that car anywhere. Now guess what? I see it everywhere. It's like, oh, they have one too. Oh, they have that color. I thought we were just getting like this most unique car in the world, and it's like, oh, they're everywhere now. Because my mind saw it, and those things that my mind was trained on, now I see it everywhere. It's the same thing. But know this, you see more of it when you look for it, but it also is about what happens to you in the midst of the search. It's also about what happens to you. The second point I want to say here, let me show you this real quick. Proverbs 11:27. Let's look at the second. We see that the one who seeks good finds delight. But look at this. The student of evil becomes evil. The student of evil becomes evil. And I'm going to break that down for you in just a second. But not only will you find what you're looking for, the second point is, in the end, you will look like what you look for. In the end, you'll look like what you look for. What does this mean? The student of evil not only searches for evil, the student of evil becomes evil. What this means is you're going to become characterized by what you are preoccupied with. You're going to end up being characterized by what you are preoccupied with. So if you go into your relationships with those that matter most, or even into your workplace, or here in the next week or so, your family reunions, your family times, looking to get hurt. You might be getting ready on Thursday morning saying, you know what? I don't like her. I don't like how he married her. All this stuff. She's so annoying. She's all those type of things. We've all been there. We all love every bit of our family. I understand that. But if we go into those relationships looking to get hurt and believe that you're going to be treated badly, and if you assume the worst about everybody, not only are you going to be right, but you're going to do the exact same thing that you're hoping they won't do against you. Because you're annoyed, you become annoying. If you know, they're just so annoying, I just can't stand them. Guess what everybody's going to see about you? That you're annoying and nobody can stand you. You become what you look for. The reason is we struggle with the most. Why we struggle the most is because sin looks uglier on the same sins that we deal with look uglier on other people. The reason that we struggle so much and the sins that we struggle with the most, they always look uglier on other people. But we deal with the same things. So when you've already made up your mind that the person is already going to be annoying, they're already going to hurt you, you're going to walk into it annoyed, you're going to walk into it and you're just waiting to be hurt. You're just waiting for them to make that comment. You're going to get annoyed thinking about how annoying they are. So you're going to be annoying to other people. So we become what we look for. We have to understand this. We can't be the victor and the victim at the same time. So we have to remember, in the end, we'll look like what we're looking for. That's why we need to choose the tool of gratitude. Use the tools that are given to us, and the tool of gratitude is given to us, that we can use it. Let's talk about real quick, the third point, what gratitude will do. What will gratitude do? Gratitude will coat you in Teflon when it comes to getting hurt. It will cover you in Velcro when it comes to the good things. Teflon to make the negative stuff slide right off. And let me give you a little bit of remembrance about Teflon. Especially coming up now in the Christmas season, one of the most iconic movies is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. How many of you have ever seen that movie? That comes on every year, right? Y'all remember when Clark Griswold was getting ready to slide down the mountain? Y'all remember that scene? What did he do? He sprayed that thing with Teflon, and what happened? Funny scene in the movie. But it's just like that. The Teflon, when we use gratitude, we can be coated in Teflon, so when the negative things come, they slide right off. And then it just swaps. And then the Velcro is there to stick to us when the good things happen. You can coat Teflon in anything and make it slippery. But when it comes to negativity, we need to coat ourselves in that Teflon, so when you do those things, the negativity just slides right off and the good things start sticking. So I want to ask you a question. Where can you add gratitude into your life, into your relationships? Because we're coming into the Thanksgiving season. And it's a great time to reflect on that and be intentional to where we can add gratitude into our lives. We need to learn to where we can use that tool to help us. So instead of allowing the Velcro to stick the negative to us, we can allow the Velcro to stick the good to us. And that's what the tool of gratitude will do in our lives. So instead of going in looking to be hurt and finding it, we can turn it around and say, you know what? It can just, when they're negative, it's just going to slide right off. So I've got some questions I want you to ask yourself. You can write them down if you want. It's things that I have to constantly ask myself. And a lot of times, I'll just be honest with you, I get it wrong. And I mess it up. And I struggle with it. But it's questions that I want to constantly ask myself that I can be intentional about being better. The first one is this. What kind thing has someone done in your life that you have not thanked them for yet? What's someone done for you that they went out of the way and they did something great for you that you have not said thank you? Or, man, you know what? You're send them a text and say, hey, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Just that little bit of the thing was just so great. Think about that. What's one thing that someone's done for you lately that you have not thanked them for yet? Take an opportunity. It takes half a second to say thank you. And how many know thank yous go a long way? Or appreciation goes a long way. What's one thing that you can think of over the last week or so that someone's done, they went out of their way for you, that you haven't thanked them for yet? Number 2, what new way can I express gratitude I felt for a long time in a new and fresh way? I'm going to unpack that one a little bit for you. Sometimes we just get into routines. We get up in the morning, we eat breakfast, get the kids up, eat breakfast, go to school. I love routine. Is anybody with me? I have to have routine. Like Friday when we had a half day at school and all this stuff, I've left stuff at home. I had to turn around and go back. I was going to Walmart to get some donuts for first period class because I told them if they did their work all week, I'd give them donuts. And they're like, okay, I'll do my work. You bribe them any way you can to do their work. Sorry, parents, but we do. So I get into Walmart. Luckily, I live real close to the neighborhood market one, but I get there, I check everything out, and I go to pay, and my billfold ain't even in my pocket. And I'm like, because I used it the night before in the living room, and I did not put it beside my bed, so it just and everything was just thrown off from there. It was just, my mind was going in 50 different places then. I was just like, okay, can we just start over just by that one thing going wrong, okay? Because I have a routine, and my son didn't go to school that day, so my trek to school everything was off, so the whole day it was off. So, but we get into this routine, we get into these routines, and these things happen all the time, and we just expect them to happen. Maybe your wife, or let's just put it spouse, because it could be husband or wife, they cook every meal, and it's just expected. Or maybe they do the laundry all the time, or maybe nobody does the laundry, I don't know, but it's just constantly. And you don't think about it because it's just routine. But they've been doing it over and over and over again. And a lot of times we don't even have conversations about those type things that go on until something goes wrong. You didn't pick up my dry cleaning today. You didn't wash my shirt that I had under all the piles of clothes, but I knew that you should have just washed it. So a lot of times we don't even have conversation about those things that go on every day, the cooking or the cleaning or the laundry, because it's just routine. But until something goes wrong, the negativity comes in, so it weighs heavier. So we talk about it. So what new way can I express gratitude I felt for a long time in a new and fresh way? So those things that are going on all the time, those things that are constantly happening every day, the food on the table when you get home, the fresh clothes folded and on the bed to be put, whatever it is, what new way can I say thank you in a new and fresh way so it's not forced? It's those type things, because it's routine, so we just automatically expect them. But a lot of times that tool of gratitude will get it a lot better, right? So third question. What blesses me that someone does that maybe they would do more of if they knew how much it meant to me? Think about that. What do I enjoy? What blesses me? Maybe it is the washing my clothes. Maybe it is just the starting my car in the morning when it's cold. Maybe it is whatever it might be. What blesses me that someone does, they might just do a little bit more of if you were like, man, you know what? I appreciate you doing that for me. I appreciate you doing that. That's just awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. Because people repeat what they get praised for. Man, you getting praised for it? Yeah, I'll do that again. People will repeat what they get praised for. So what's something that someone would do more of if they understood that it meant a lot to you? Maybe we just have gotten so stuck in a routine that it's just, we assume that it's a given. But if they knew that it meant a whole lot to you, maybe they would do more of it. Next question. Who in my life helps me that I'm taking for granted? Again, we get into the routine. We get into, hey, they're just going to be there. We know they're going to be there. Who in my life helps me that I'm taking for granted? Oh, they'll be there to do that. Oh, it's okay. We've all been there. We've all done that. We've all taken people, situations for granted. But intentionally thinking about these type things, these questions that we can ask ourselves and say, who in my life, how can I evaluate my life to see who helps me that I'm really not showing gratitude for? Be intentional about letting them know that you are making a difference. You know what? You're making a difference. You will never know what it might mean to them. You never know what just a kind word will say. And I remember, and I used to tell this story a lot in youth ministry, just the simple random acts of kindness of just speaking a word or just being there or just saying something. I remember, it's just a story that I've heard. Whether it's true or not, I'll be honest with you, I don't know, but it's a powerful story. But it was of this girl. She was in high school. She was a senior. She was having a rough life. And she figured, you know what? I'm just going to clean my locker out. I'm just going to go home and I'm just going to end it all so I can just stop the pain. So she cleaned her locker out. She went home. She started on her way home. And on her way home, she dropped her books. And another girl was there and just was there to help her and just say, hey, she saw that she was upset, just spoke to her. Said, hey, how are you? And for that day, she decided not to do it. And at the end of the year, the valedictorian was speaking at graduation saying, I was going home to kill myself. But just simple act of random kindness just to say hello and speak to see how I was stopped me from doing it. I was like, man, that's a powerful. You never know what one word of gratitude can do for somebody. We never know those things. You will never know what it might. They might be struggling, and that small word of encouragement will go a long way. Might go a long way. That word of gratitude might come to them at the right moment that they need it to get them through the day. There's a better way to live. And that's making ourselves sticky to the good things and slippery to the things that we need to let slide right off. Because so many times that negativity bias will get onto us and that scale, and it just weighs so much more, and we need to flip the scale. So when are you looking for ways to express your gratitude? So when you're looking for those ways, I want you to never forget the greatest gift you can give anyone is your presence. The greatest gift that you can give anyone is your presence. Just being present. To be truly present with them. What's the point of telling someone thank you if you're not really engaged in the conversation? Take time to look them in the eye. Take time just to stop and pause for a second and be present. And let's make sure our gratitude to others is expressed through when we are with someone, we're with them. We are in the day of fingertip technology. When you want to know something, it is at the fingertips. I want to get practical for a second. And I'm telling you this because it's something that I struggle with. It's not something that I've mastered, so I don't want you to go away saying, he thinks he knows. Trust me, it's tough, especially in the technology-driven world that we live in. But I want us to be practical for a minute. It's time that we take the iPhone off the table. And there's actually, according to the journal, and I looked this up just to confirm everything. According to the Journal of Environment and Behavior, there is something clinically proven called the iPhone effect. Now, all you Android users, you're not off the hook. Sorry. But it's called the iPhone effect. Clinically proven. When the quality of a conversation is diminished by the presence of an iPhone. The mere presence. Not that you're on it, not that you're sitting there saying, yeah. Just it's sitting on the table while you're trying to have a conversation. The study examined the relationship between the presence of a mobile device and the quality of real life, in-person social interactions. Participants conversing in the presence of a mobile device who also had a close relationship with each other reported lower levels of empathy. The quality of interaction went down just by the presence of a mobile device. So let's express our gratitude by being present with the people in our lives. And it's something that I have to learn to do. I just have to learn to disconnect, because we can get a hold of somebody within a second we can get a hold of somebody. We can get any information that we want within a second. All of this is going to help your relationships to feel more appreciated, and you're going to appreciate the relationships more because you're invested in it. It's time that we appreciate those that matter. And sometimes it's by us being practical and just disconnecting from everything. And what the greatest thing is about all of this is you're going to be changed along the way, because it'll end up impacting you so much. When you're intentional about those things, it starts helping you as well. Because it's impossible to be grateful and miserable at the same time. You can't be both. It's impossible to be grateful and miserable at the same time. Studies show that if you take one time a week, and you write down 5 things that you are thankful for, your perceived happiness goes up 25% by just doing that. By just reminding yourself what you are thankful for. So this week, take an opportunity and write 5 things that you're thankful for. You know, we joke about this sometimes, but we were driving somewhere and I was like, I just thank God that I have a vehicle that has air conditioning and heat. I drove in one for many years that didn't. And in the middle of summer, you're thankful for that air conditioner, ain't you? Or in the middle of winter when it's cold, you're thankful that heater comes on. It's the little things sometimes. But it's impossible to be grateful and miserable at the same time. Write those things that you're faithful down. You'll be happier by being intentional, living a grateful life. So what is it going to do to your relationships? What's it going to do to the relationships in your life? If you can intentionally use that tool of gratitude, what can it do for your relationships? It's going to cause you to be more conscious of the good that's done. It's so easy to blow up the negative, and it's so easy to miss the good. I do it all the time. I will see the negative before I see the good. We're all that way sometimes. And you're going to choose to let some of the stuff go that you previously were putting a heavy weight on. Those things that you thought were negative, they eventually they'll just start sliding off. Because you have that gratitude. And at the end of the day, it's a heart issue. From the abundance of our heart, our mouth speaks. And I believe that we speak when we believe certain things. So if we have that negativity bias, if we can flip that script instead of it being Velcro, it being Teflon, and using that tool of gratitude in our lives. And this season is a perfect opportunity for us to evaluate that in our lives and see how we can be intentional. But what it's going to do to our relationship, we're going to start allowing some of that stuff just to go. Because let me tell you something. And like I said at the beginning, relationships are hard. There's no perfect way. If anybody tells you they have the perfect way for you to solve all relationship matters, don't listen to them. We're difficult. We're all difficult. Just some greater than others, right? I'm just joking. Don't elbow the person next to you. Just joking. But relationships are sticky. They're tough. It takes a lot of effort sometimes to get through things. Relationships are, and if I was up here telling you that if you do all of this, everything's just going to be a bed of roses from there on out. It's not true. It's not true. Life is hard. But what we need to do is evaluate our relationships and see where we can use that tool of gratitude. And maybe it'll help us get to the next day. And the next day. And the next day. I honestly believe that's how you get in marriages. That's how you get to year 15, year 16, year 20, year 30. The tool of gratitude. Letting the negative slide off and allowing the positive to stick. So where can you be more intentional with your gratitude? Gratitude is a powerful tool. I truly, honestly believe that relationships appreciate in value the more you appreciate them. We all want things to appreciate and value, our home, our different things. It's like almost like a relationships is almost like a checking account. It grows the more you invest. Too bad that mine just doesn't grow, right? Sometimes we want to just plug the hole. But the more you invest in it, the more it grows. It's just like retirement accounts. That's why they tell you don't touch your requirement. Don't even look at your retirement account, right? Just don't pay attention to it. But when you invest and you invest, it grows and it grows. And it's the same thing with our relationships. When we invest in our relationships, they will appreciate over time because we appreciate them. And I have to ask myself the same question. I don't have it all figured out. I have to ask myself, where can I be more intentional with my gratitude of the things that I take for granted because they're always there. It always happens. Where can the little thank yous come into play that can help so much more? I struggle with it. And I know each and every one of you, at times we all do. But we can learn to be more grateful and use that tool. Amen? I want us to pray, and I want to pray for you.